Will you please stand for the prayer and remain standing then for the national anthem. Let us pray. Almighty God, Thou art the creator of all that is, and we acknowledge Thee to be the Lord of time, of space, and of all the affairs of human history. As we gather to honor these, our friends, we pray that Thou wilt remind us that Thou alone art God. And as we have played by the timer's clock, teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts to wisdom and learn to live life to its best and fullest. And as we have played by the rules of the game, enable us to know and to live by those rules of life that Thou hast given to us in Thy holy word. We thank Thee that Thou hast sent to us Thy Son, Jesus, and that as we induct these people into the Hall of Champions, we are reminded that He was truly a champion and has taught us to live. In His name we pray, amen.
Honored guests and families, presenters, officers, and members of the Hall of Champions Association, student athletes, and friends, it is with a great deal of pride and humility that I welcome you to this 7th annual induction of the Norristown Area High School Hall of Champions. My pride results from the knowledge that as a 1964 graduate of Norristown High School, I have shared many of the rewarding experiences available through our schools. Now, for 14 years, I have been able to contribute to the experiences of thousands of students and graduates of the Norristown Area High School. My humility results from the contacts, both as a student and as an educator, with many of Norristown's numerous exceptional athletes. As a student, I recall being an elementary school football, basketball, track, and baseball athlete, a junior high school football and basketball player, and a high school cross-country and track participant. As an educator, I've had the opportunity to both coach and help administer athletic programs. Always, and I repeat, always, we have outstanding students and athletes in this school district. In perpetuating the accomplishments of this evening's 5 new inductees for their distinguished and substantial contributions in athletics, we not only honor the recipients and their families, but we remind our community of the school's athletic heritage while we highlight heroes for today's student athletes. With us this evening, we have worthy representatives from most of our athletic programs. It is my belief that several of you, sitting down here in the front tonight, will someday be honored with induction in our Hall of Champions. In a country whose media and citizens' thoughts so often concentrate on the negative or bad aspects of our world, it is a distinct relief and reward to share an evening with a community of people honoring the positive accomplishments of former athletes and ready to assist, aid, foster, and promote the athletic programs of our school. We as a school are rapidly improving our students' education in all areas. Our Hall of Champions Association is an organization that exemplifies what is possible when people join together committed to a positive goal. Many thanks are due to President Cressman and the entire group of active members. They have accomplished much in just 7 years. Congratulations to our new inductees. We shall all cherish this evening. Thank you.
Honored guests, members of the Hall of Champions Association, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it is an extreme privilege for me to welcome each of you to our 7th Annual Hall of Champions induction ceremony this evening on behalf of the Norristown Area High School Hall of Champions Association. At this time, will everyone please stand for a moment of silence in respect for 2 former inductees whose passing took place during the past week, namely Harlan Gustafson from the Hall of Champions and Merrill Bean from the Hall of Fame. Would you please stand? Thank you very much. It is especially heartwarming for me to see Gene Coder and George Williams return to our high school from their homes in Massachusetts and Virginia, respectively. Tonight climaxes another year's effort by our hard-working selection committee with the induction of 5 more outstanding athletes from Norristown High School's past. Our inductees this evening span the graduating classes from 1927 to 1950 and includes 1 athlete, George Williams, who won 4 varsity letters and the last such athlete in Norristown High School's history. Since our association was founded in 1977, we have been able to honor and perpetuate the names of 40 former students who excelled in athletics at Norristown High School. This number of 40 includes tonight's inductees. This is less than 1% of all the athletes who have performed for the blue and white over the past 100 or more years. I believe when you place this in its perspective, you can see how exceptional and special these athletes were as an athlete for Norristown High School. We are extremely proud to be the only organization in any of the surrounding school districts who so honors their former athletes. We offer the Hall of Champions as a challenge for admission to the present and future athletes of the Norristown Area School District. An athlete must be out of high school 5 years before he or she is eligible for admission. Our Hall of Champions Association administers both the Hall of Champions as exemplified this evening for athletic excellence while attending high school, and the Hall of Fame for former NAHS students who excel in their life pursuit, whatever it may be, if they're high school days. The Hall of Fame inductions are held each year during the month of October. The 5 inductees this evening will have their names added to the permanent bronze plaque mounted on the wall in the lobby of the athletic wing, in addition to receiving their own beautiful bronze plaques. We hope that the next time that you are in the gym area, you will take a moment to see the plaque with inductee names attached. Pictures of the inductees this evening have also been placed in the Paul M. Schellenberger Senior Memorial Showcase in the cafeteria for all the students and faculty to see and read about your accomplishments. Please take a moment tonight during the reception in the cafeteria to see the showcase that our association donated to the school. The showcase always contains many interesting pictures of today and yesteryear. The Hall of Champions Association continually seeks nominations to both the Hall of Champions and the Hall of Fame. If you know of someone worthy of the excellence that these two halls stand for, please obtain a nomination form tonight during the reception at our membership table and fill it out and return it to us. We in the Hall of Champions Association are continuing to grow through the generous support of many community businesses and individuals. However, we strive to obtain new members just as we strive to obtain new nominees for our halls. New members bring new ideas and additional new energies into our association. We meet once a month, usually on the third Thursday of each month, all year round in the high school cafeteria. If you are currently not a member of our association and you believe in our goals and wish to perform a very worthy service, we will be very happy to enroll you at our membership table during the reception in the cafeteria to follow this ceremony. You can become a life member for just $50 or an annual member for a modest fee of $5. At this time, would you please turn on the house lights? I know there are former inductees here this evening, and I would like all previous inductees to either the Hall of Champions or the Hall of Fame to please rise and be recognized. Thank you very much for coming. We continually try to improve our induction ceremonies, and we are attempting to a new feature this evening, which I hope will become a permanent feature of our induction ceremonies in the future. We will, in a few moments, take a look at these outstanding athletes from the past, but for the moment, we want you to take a look at the outstanding athletes that we have in Norristown Area High School during this year, 1983-1984. So at this time, I'd like to call on George Ortlib, our Director of Athletics of Norristown Area High School, for the introductions.
It's a pleasure being at an athletic function this spring that doesn't have to be postponed and repostponed and so on. My chore here tonight is very simple. I'm going to introduce some of the coaches who have attended, and they in turn are going to introduce to you some of the outstanding athletes that you have been reading about this year and never really got a chance to see them up close. And I'm going to ask the coaches, when I introduce you, to use that microphone over there, and the athletes, if you would just stand and remain standing when you're introduced along the pit here. First one would be Mr. Roger Grove, our head football coach.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Hall of Champions for inviting us here this evening, and also congratulate all the inductees. With me tonight, down in the front row here, I have Lewis Simpson. Lewis, would you stand up, please? Lewis is a 6'6", 240-pound tight end who has been chosen as one of the top 33 players in Pennsylvania. He will play in a Big 33 game over the summer in July, which will be held in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and he will attend the University of West Virginia on a football scholarship. Some of the other players that are here that were on the football team: Dave Elsier, who was one of our linebackers, one of our captains; Mike McHenry, one of our offensive tackles; Ronnie Minges, who was our kicker, who we're glad we have back next year. And I have to add that the other three members who are on the sheet could not, one of which couldn't attend this evening. He's at a doctor, and he's going to try and be here if he can sometime. His mother thought he could get here by 8 o'clock. That's Wayne Denson, who I'm sure a lot of you read about. He was an parade All-American. He's going to Florida State University on a football scholarship. And then I called Chris Augustine, and his mother said he's on the way here. That might be them that just walked in, I don't know. But Chris Augustine and Dalbert Chavou, who were two of our outstanding football players, both all-league first-team selections, who I think you'll see any minute. Matter of fact, that is him right there walking down. Dalbert, walk up front. Dalbert has visited California State. He's visited a number of schools. Right now, he's undecided where he wants to attend college. Thank you.
You gentlemen that were just introduced, would you please stand up there along the pit? We want you standing the whole time. Come on, stand up, turn around, face the audience. You did it all through the season. You can do it now. All right, for soccer, we have the head coach, Mr. Mike Roman.
Thanks again for inviting me and my two players. I just don't know what I'd do without them, because they're the kids that really carried my team. And the best thing I could say about them is they'll be back next year, so I hope they don't get hurt. The two players I'm talking about: Ron Minges, who played midfield, did everything for us. He was selected second team All-Suburban, which is a feat in itself, because we play in a very tough conference. And my other player is Drew Cressman. And Drew was our midfielder who really played tough defense for us, and also made second team All-Suburban. And again, I repeat, they'll be back next year, and I think we'll do a little better. Thank you very much.
It's the first time I've heard Mike speak without trying to recruit some players. For golf, we have Mr. Chuck Fulham, head coach.
Good evening, everyone. It is a real pleasure to be here in such a worthwhile activity as this, and it's quite an honor for me. I'm sure it's an honor for these athletes as well. First, I would like to introduce a sophomore on this year's team. He's won 2 varsity awards so far. Tom Kilcoyne. Tom, would you come up? Tom led the team this year in victories, individual victories. He also led the team in scoring. He played second man on the team, and he was voted second team All-League. And he'll be back for 2 more seasons, and we'll be expecting even better things from him. Next, I'd like to introduce Jim Sayer. Jim. Jim is a senior this year. He was a 3-year letterman. He placed 5th in the league tournament this year. He was our team captain and our #1 player. He also was elected second team All-League, and he also won the prestigious N Award. Thank you.
Next coach will fill a dual role as head baseball coach and also head basketball coach, Mr. John Cresswell. John won't mention it, but the team, I guess, as most of you know, were District 1 champs this year and got that close to the big one.
First, my basketball players, Frank Dobbs, who was second team. Second team All-League, first team All-Area Times Herald, second team All-Area Philadelphia Inquirer, and one of my senior captains. Frank will be attending Cheney University in the fall. My other senior captain, Darren Queenan. Darren scored 762 points this year, 23 points a game. He was first team All-League unanimous selection, first team All-Area Times Herald, first team All-Area Daily News and Inquirer. He will, in the fall, he's narrowed his choices down to Lehigh, Lafayette, Delaware, Brown, and the Naval Academy. And he wants to study engineering. I have two other basketball players down there, Stan Hadrick, who my point guard, and my captain for next year, one of my captains for next year, Steve Munch Bishop. My baseball players that are here are both my co-captains this year, Dave Elsier, who's standing next to the big guy there, and Steve Bishop, my other captain. Thank you.
I'm asking the next coach to serve a dual role too. The head basketball coach for the girls, Dorothy Fichter, and she's also going to fill in for Sandra Flacco, who is ill this evening, for hockey.
Actually, Sandy was being very busy this weekend cutting the shrubs, and she has a bad case of poison ivy. So she didn't feel like sitting here and itching all night, so I'm pinch hitting for her. And I would like to start off with the hockey players. First, I'd like to introduce one of our senior tri-captains this year, Debbie Stevens. Debbie was honorable mention All-League, and she's still undecided about which college she would like to attend. The second player is Liz Stasic. Liz is a junior this year. She was the leading scorer on the team. She made second team All-League, and she's also will be one of the co-captains for next season. And the third player is Kathy Panis. Kathy is a three-sport athlete. She not only was a good hockey player, she made second team All-League as a sophomore. She's also a starter on the basketball team, and she's a starter since 9th grade on the softball team. So you'll hear a lot about her, I'm sure, in the future. And now for the basketball team, I brought Mary Hall. Mary was the senior captain this year and had a big load to carry. She was the only senior starter along with 4 sophomores. She made first team All-League. We finished 4th in the league and went to districts, and Mary was a big part of that. She finished 3rd in the area in scoring, and she averaged 17.7 points a game, and she's still undecided about which college to attend, but I'm sure you'll hear a lot about her playing in college. Thank you.
I jumped around a little bit on my list because we had a track meet postponed today at home because our track wasn't ready, and we shipped both teams, boys and girls, up to Neshaminy, and I see the girls' coach has just arrived. So Joe Hadrick, coach of the girls' track team.
Thank you, George. You didn't give me a chance to rehearse or nothing, so I'll do the best I can. In the girls' track, we have with us Deborah Manning. Debbie, she was in the indoor meet. She was on our relay team and had second fastest time in the state. I'm looking for her to go a long ways in the spring track. She is one girl that has a good eye on Netta Young's records, so you know she's pretty good. All right, next is Liz Camel. Liz in winter track also was a member of the relay team with the second fastest time in the state. Liz will also be she's our leadoff runner in all our relays, and I'm expecting them to be at states this year in at least 2 relays. Next we have Dina Brown. Dina was a swimmer during the winter season, and she's one of our top hurdlers. I expect Dina to be one of the top 5 in the districts, and I wouldn't be surprised if she wins it all. Next is, do I have Mary Hall? She was with the basketball, but Mary is another outstanding triple jumper for us, and I expect Mary to do a great job in the districts, and I'm looking for her to go to the states and do another job there. Thank you.
Our head wrestling coach, Mr. George Frisch.
Thank you. We have 2 of our wrestlers here today, Matt Salamone and Don Cezur. Both Matt and Don served as co-captains this year. Both had outstanding records. They were both place winners in the Section 3 tournament this year, and they were both selected All-League Suburban 1 National Honorable Mention. Thank you.
I hope you people out there can see me better than I can see out there. Is Sue Lothar here tonight? Okay, she was going to be introduced by the swimming coach, but she couldn't make it here tonight. As a 9th grader, she was first in Suburban 1 in the 50 meter, I'm sorry. And as a 9th grader, we expect a lot more out of her as she grows on to be a senior. Also had Kurt England and John England. Are they out there anywhere? And Pat McNeil from the boys swimming? Okay, I wanted to cover those. Now we have Mr. Simmons is the head track coach, head cross-country coach, and head coach of the boys indoor track. However, he wasn't able to be here tonight, so to show you we take advantage of the Hall of Champions, we brought Netta Young, who's assisting him in coaching the boys this year. Netta, would you come up and introduce your players?
Good evening. I'm here to introduce 2 fine athletes that I'm just starting to get to know, and they are Pompey Wellens and Stan Hadrick. I'm going to run over their credentials because they're new to me, and I think that they're important to everyone here. Stan, in his junior year, ran on the National Junior Olympic 2-mile relay team, which took 2nd. He ran on the 3rd place state 2-mile relay team. He was named to the All-Conference team. He was named to the All-State team. As a senior, he was named to the All-Suburban team indoors, and as of right now, he's undefeated in the 800 meters, so we're looking for him to do very well in the district and the state meet. Pompey, in turn, as a junior, was 7th in the state 2-mile championship. He ran also on that National Junior Olympic relay team in the 2-mile. As a senior, he was named to the All-Suburban Cross Country team. He took second in the district cross country meet. He was named to the All-State Cross Country team. In the indoor season, he was second in the mile run at the state championships, and he won the state 1,000-yard run. Outdoors, as of right now, he's undefeated in the 1 and 2 mile, and he will be continuing his education at Temple University on a full scholarship. Thank you.
Mr. Grenice, our softball coach, was sick this afternoon and had a game, and I don't think he's here tonight, but he was going to introduce Dana DeLuzio and Liz Stasik, who is already standing up here. As Mr. Spencer said earlier, there's possibly your future Hall of Champion inductees. So let's give them one more round of applause, and then they will see.
Daniel Sinclair III is our first inductee of the evening. A member of the class of 1927 winter, Dan could do it all. He was an athlete and a scholar of the first rank. In football, Dan played on the varsity squad for 3 years in the position of halfback. He was captain of the team in 1926, just the beginning of many leadership roles he was about to fill. He gave 3 years to the basketball team playing center. 1925 and 1926 also found Dan on the baseball diamond. 3 years dedicated to 3 different sports, an impressive record for anyone. Add to this Dan's academic accomplishments. He was president of the student council, president of his class, a member of the SPICE staff, of National Honor Society, and the valedictorian of the class of 1927 winter. Dan was offered many athletic scholarships, but on the advice of Dr. Robert Taylor, then principal of NHS, Dan accepted an academic scholarship of $2,000 offered by Swarthmore College, where he earned a BA in English. He took that degree and his athletic experience to Norristown, New Jersey. At Norristown High School, he taught English and coached football and basketball from 1931 until his retirement in 1969, excluding his 3 years as a lieutenant in the U.S. Navy during World War II. In 1969, Dan moved to Florida, where he lived until his death in 1977. His wife, Janet, still resides there. The Sinclair's son, Daniel, lives in Westchester. Will Earl Munschauer, who is accepting the award for Dan, please come up to the stage? Presenting the award is Ed Rambo, who played with Dan on the football team.
I was pretty close to Dan. I played on 5 of those teams up there with him. I was especially pretty close to him on football because we played a T formation and the quarterback had to hand the ball to the halfback, fullback. So we worked pretty good. And Dan inspired every team that he ever played on. He was always in good shape. He always gave 110%, and he just one heck of a good guy. I told you some facts up there, but I'm going to tell you one that affected Norristown High School up in Reading. It started off as a bad day for me because I missed the train. Drake Akins took me up in a rumble seat, and by the time I got there, it was pretty cold. In those days, Roten had us in shape to play 15-minute quarters. The other team, if the coach wanted to play 12, and both coaches agreed, then the referee said we'll play 12 minutes. But Roten didn't like the attitude of the coach or tone of voice or something. He told him we're going to play 12 minutes. Roten said we're playing 15, and he left. And George Wireman was our timekeeper. In the first quarter, we played a little more than 12. He didn't say anything, maybe it was a mistake. In the second quarter, we played not quite 12 and a half. He told Roten about it, and he said, don't leave the field. We're playing 15 minutes. He went hunting for the coach or the timekeeper, and by mistake, he got in the Reading dressing room, and they threw him out. And he was pretty mad. He came over and he said, I'm embarrassed, humiliated, and sore as hell. He said, we can either go home or stay and play. He said, it's your school and it's your team. Dan, talk to the boys, see what they want to do. So Dan took us over there in a circle, and he pointed at one of the ends. He said, do we play or not? Sure, we're going to play. When Charlie Bean, he said, yeah, Charlie said, we're going to play, we're going to beat the poop out of him. Well, that's not exactly what Charlie said, but I had to clean it up a little bit. Said, Minnie Young, how about it, Minnie? Hey, Minnie said, right on, man. He said, Austin Smith, how about Austin? Austin nodded his head. That's about what you get out of Austin. He was the quietest athlete that I ever played with. And then Red Zemry said, Reds, how about it? Get this show on the road. He said, I got a date with a blonde. So Dan went back and told the coach, and we played. We were getting beat 6-0 the first half. We had beaten Bethlehem 26-0. We were hot stuff. We could kick the pants off Reading. So with that attitude, we didn't get a first down the first half. So in the second half, about 6 guys hit the guy with a ball. And we knew we were on our way, and we beat him. We scored twice, and we beat Reading. So Dan had an important decision. Dan could have said, let's go home, and we would have lost 6-0. But Dan said, we're going to play. So it's my honor to... Oh, I forgot I had some notes here. Says, thanks for shopping at Gennardi Markets. Somebody bet me a beer. I wouldn't say that, but I got a beer. Earl, you're a good friend of Dan's. Yes. Classmate. I think I have great pleasure in presenting it to you on behalf of the club. And I know you're say something about Dan.
Well, this is a privilege. Thank you. Mr. President, directors, committee, and friends out there, which I can't see, thank goodness. Sis Bossler called me and said, will you accept this plaque for the Sinclair family? And I hesitated. So I said, well, sis, I'll let you know tomorrow. And the reason why, I thought I'd look in the 1927 Spice and see if there was anyone else in the class that might accept this more so than myself. And I find out that they're either living in Florida in the sun, or they're physically unable to be here because we're not youngsters anymore. And the fact that I knew Dan back as we were really kids, I said, sis, yes, I'll do it. So your pictures were fine. You've explained everything that I could say. Eddie did a nice job there, but there's a couple more things. I think we might have been 9, 10 years old, and Sundays were an important day in those days, going back in the early 20s or before. And Sunday consisted of going to Sunday school and church, and the afternoon, my families and relatives, friends, what have you, visited with each other. So my family, being privileged to know the Sinclair family, we used to get together. And as I recall, this particular Sunday afternoon, Dan had gotten a chemistry set for Christmas. So we were up in the back room, and boy, we really mixed this, that, and the other thing together. And there was something in there that caused an explosion. So up runs the family. Fortunately, neither one of us were hurt. But I believe the chemistry set went away at that time. But getting back to Dan's athletic ability and whatnot, and I'll get back to the Sunday school too, there was a Mark Finley, which I don't know how many remember, but he was an excellent track man back about 1910 or 15. He graduated. And he was our Sunday school teacher. So he said, for perfect attendance, I'm going to take you to the pen relays. So Dan and I, at an early age, really were thrilled with that fact, and of course this is the weekend again for the relays, to be able to go. And that may have made something in his mind too as far as athletic ability is concerned. Unfortunately, in those days, we had to walk to school. And you'd be surprised, you get rid of a lot of frustration and whatnot. Dan used to walk from Buttonwood and Marshall Street, we'll say, on to Norristown Area High School at Oak and DeKalb. And we might meet each other along the way, going up over the Marshall Street area and on to Swede and so on. And that did a lot of good for us. But I do, in closing, want to say this, that Dan was a scholar. He was a great athlete. And as he was an educator in Morristown, and up until his retirement, and then on to his death, he was a fine gentleman. And I'm glad that I knew him. In 1977, Charles Reds Ramsey, who some of us still remember as a great basketball player for Norristown High School, and Bob McCracken, and Dan Sinclair and his wife Janet and our wives sat together at our 50th class reunion in June. I got word from Clearwater in December that Dan had passed away, and so we lost a very good friend. But I want to accept this then for his widow and family, and thank you very much. And as far as the character of Dan Sinclair is concerned, I think he's looking down from above right now, and he thanks you, gentlemen, and it's a great experience to be here, and thank you.
Our only female inductee, a graduate of the class of 1938, is Dorothy Radcliffe Molyneux. Dot played basketball for 3 years, 2 years on the varsity. In 1937, she was a member of the championship team and the second highest scorer. In Dot's senior year, the team was undefeated and she emerged as the highest scorer. Dot ran varsity track for 1 year and was awarded a school board trophy as the outstanding girl in track. Dot's prowess was also shown in 2 years of varsity tennis, receiving the N Club Award for that sport. For all of her athletic achievements, Dot was voted the best female athlete in the class of 1938. In addition to this, she maintained excellent grades to allow her admission to the National Honor Society. Following high school was a BS degree from Penn State, where she participated in student government and was elected to an honorary society for sophomores, and to Lacanitas, an honorary society for women outstanding in the School of Health and Physical Education. Dot now resides in Norristown after serving as a remedial reading teacher in the Norristown Area School District and for the American Baptist Churches of Valley Forge. She also worked in the community as a volunteer for the March of Dimes, the Norristown State Hospital, and as a Girl Scout leader. Dot has 3 children, Donna D. Meixner, Nancy A. Blumenthal, and Bruce R. Tummins. Dorothy Radcliffe Molyneux, please come to the stage to receive your award. Presenting this award is DOT's former basketball coach, Doris Gorman.
This evening brings back many very fond, pleasant memories of all the activities of that period of time. We won't go back and say how long, but you know. I would just like to summarize by reading what the plaque says about DOT. Basketball, varsity 2 years, member of 1937 championship team, and team's second highest scorer. The 1938 team was also undefeated, and she was the team's high scorer. Track, varsity 1 year, received the school board trophy as outstanding girl in track, and that's a real thrill. Tennis, varsity 2 years, received the N Club Award for tennis, voted the best female athlete in the class of 38, activity, National Honor Society. I'm so happy to present this to you, Dot. So happy.
Mr. Pressman and officers and members of the board of the Norristown Hall of Champions, I am indeed honored to be selected for induction into this group. There have been many fine people, so I feel very privileged to be part of this group. It's nice to be honored for something that really you have enjoyed doing. It's been such a good part of my life. And I've always enjoyed sports. I've always enjoyed winning. I guess that it's just a fun thing in my life. I admit that today I still love sports, but I guess I'm a spectator more than a participant. I think it's wonderful that they have recognized the current high school athletes. I'm very happy to see that. I think it's something that needed to be done, and I'm proud of all of you. I envy you your facilities that you have here. We didn't have anything such as your high school now. I went to the old Eisenhower High School, and you have to be senior citizen, I guess, to remember. I don't know. The girls, I guess, fared the worst as far as facilities. We played our basketball in the old Gottwall School in the basement. The teams that came to play us were not too happy with our facilities. I do believe a few games we were allowed to play in the Rittenhouse gym, which was far superior at that time to anything we had in high school. But the main thing was we all enjoyed our activities. It was a time of a lot of good friendship and good fun. The girls that are here tonight that were on my basketball team, on the basketball team, can tell you we made good friends, we had a lot of fun. Where we had to play didn't really bother us. We weren't overrun with spectators in our time, because girls' sports weren't quite that popular. But we didn't care. We did our best. We won some. We won quite a few in basketball. We lost a few. But I do want to say that we did have two ardent fans, and that was my mother and Peg's mother, who never missed a basketball game, whether it was home or away. So I have to give her that recognition. I'd also like to say that I'm very pleased to be the second member of my family to be honored. My brother was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and now tonight for me. And I'm just sorry my parents aren't around to know this, but it really is a great honor. And I'm very grateful to all of you for making it possible. I want to thank my family and friends that came tonight. I have a nice little cheering section over here. It's just a surprise and a real pleasure to see them all here. I'm going to acknowledge my Wednesday night bridge club because that group plays every Wednesday night regardless. And they gave up tonight to come to see me. And this is a member of my Wednesday night bridge club. I think they're full of surprises. Oh, Amelia, thank you. Oh. That's what I call friendship. And thank you all. I do want to say that I'd like to recognize my coaches. I can't forget Gretchen McDeering from Stewart Junior High School, who is deceased. I hope you noticed that when Mrs. Gorman presented me with my plaque, I said, "Thank you, Mrs. Gorman." I had to concentrate because she was my coach in my first year in high school, and of course it was always Miss Flansburgh. So I concentrate on that. And then my last 2 years in high school, my coach was Marion Blue Earl, and I can't forget her. And I thank all of you for coming, and it's been a great privilege.
In 1946, the nation was recovering from a war, and Norristown was ready to send its own athletic warrior into the world. 1946 was the year of Charlie Hood. Charlie played varsity football. Charlie played varsity football for 3 years. This fullback was a member of the All-Suburban Championship team of 1945. In that same year, Charlie was also the winner of the prestigious Robert W. Maxwell Award, given by the major sports writers of the Philadelphia area each year. A junior varsity basketball player for 2 years, Charlie made his biggest mark on the baseball field as a catcher for 3 years. His baseball talent attracted the attention of the Philadelphia Phillies, who signed him to a contract in 1946. He was to remain with the Phillies organization from 1946 until 1954, with 2 years of service during the Korean War. After leaving the Phillies, Charlie entered the life insurance business with New York Life in 1955. By 1963, he opened his own office, Charles K. Hood Associates, which he maintains today. A member of many civic organizations such as the Triangle Club, the Rotary Club, and the Chamber of Commerce, Charlie has also shared his baseball knowledge with young people as the instructor of the Norristown Times-Herald Baseball School and as baseball coach at Germantown Academy. Charlie and his wife Eleanor live in Norristown. Please come to the stage, Charlie, to be welcomed into the Hall of Champions. Presenting the award is George Ordlip.
Charlie, congratulations. I'm pinch hitting here tonight for Mr. Nick Kazonis, who had an emergency call for a family problem. And I'm not too well prepared to expound upon all your things. I was going to say you were my idol when I was a child, but that didn't come down right. I was going to mention that I never had any problems in worrying about the outcome of the game when he was in it. Then I found out he was in the Korean War, and we did win that one, didn't we?
Yeah.
I was worried, though, if I'd have known you were in it fighting for us. But Charlie, I'm going to read what's on here, and you are certainly well deserving of this. NHS Hall of Champions, 1984. Football, varsity, 3 years, fullback, won the Robert W. Maxwell Award in 1945. Member of the Suburban Championship football team in 1945. Basketball, 2 years, junior varsity. Baseball, varsity, 3 years, catcher, Charles Hood. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bob, may I be the first to congratulate you. Your bouquet is beautiful. I think if somebody took my blood pressure right now, it'd be very, very high. This is a great honor for me to accept this, and I look back to the many years of going through the school district, and I think that I would be remiss if I didn't just comment, as Dot did, about the coaches who I think gave me the background to go on to future things. And if I may take a moment and just mention a few. When I came out of Eagleville and came to Stewart Junior High School, as you did, two of the people that were very instrumental in putting me on the right road was Fred Shealy and Ray Gerzinski. And then moving on into the halls of NHS, we had Paul Schellenberg, who was honored a few years ago, who became a very dear friend after I was out of school. Was a hell of a coach. There was Lou Koss. There was Harry Spangler. There was many people who were very, very instrumental in helping me to form my life for the future. And the one person I think that I have to look back, and I think everybody will agree with me, is that Mr. Fishburne, who was a baseball coach at the high school for many years, who helped to control my temper and Lasorda's temper so that we were battery mates. And it really worked out very well. We had a good ball club, and we did a lot of things. But gentlemen, as I look over here at these young athletes today, I just say to you, take the advice that you get from your coaches and use it for the best in your life. Because I think sports, to me, has set the tone of my entire life. I am very honored, Wimp, as you know, and all the members of the Board of Directors for this award. And again, I say thank you. I am very, very thrilled. Thank you.
Our fourth inductee is Eugene E. Coder, a member of the class of 1948 and a star in football, tennis, and basketball. In football, Gene played N for 3 years, lettering in 2 years. In his junior year, he received the Ray Musselman Memorial Football Trophy for his outstanding performance on the field. The tennis team tested Gene's talents for 3 years. He received a letter for each of those years, and he also brought NHS a championship as Pennsylvania State Tennis Doubles Champion in 1948. Playing center on the basketball team for 3 years, Gene was a member of the Pennsylvania State Championship team of 1948. His achievements were acknowledged when he received the Harold Whitey Tyler Memorial Basketball Trophy in '48. Gene continued his education at Gettysburg College, completing a double major in economics and political science and a minor in Latin. He did graduate work in business at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, at Butler University, and at Fitchburg State College. All of the above study took place while Gene played 4 years of college football, 4 years of college basketball, 3 years of tennis, and 1 year of golf. Many athletic and scholastic awards, recognition in who's who among students in American colleges, and membership and leadership in local and state JC organizations. After a Korean service tour as captain and recognition via the Syngman Rhee Presidential Unit Citation, the United Nations Service Ribbon, and the Korean Service Ribbon, Gene returned to the business world and to basketball as a member of the IAABO, officiating for 9 years. Gene is presently employed as Director of Sales for the James River Corporation of Hackensack, New Jersey. He and his wife, Dorothy, have a son, David, and they reside in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. We welcome Eugene Coder to the Norristown Area High School Hall of Champions. Please come to the stage now to accept our appreciation. Former teammate Bob Kane is presenting the award.
Gene, congratulations. It's a pleasure and an honor to present this award to you after playing basketball with you for 2 years. I'd like to read what it says. Football played in 3 years, Ray Musselman Memorial Award, 1947, outstanding player. Basketball, center, 3 years, member of Pennsylvania State Championship basketball team, 1948, Harold Whitey Tyler Memorial Award, 1948, outstanding player. Tennis, 3 years, Pennsylvania State Tennis Doubles Championship, 1948. Gene, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Freshman, members of the board, and area sports fans, this is truly a humbling experience. To be considered for membership in the Hall of Fame with such illustrious members here and that have gone before us, it sort of leaves you speechless. Sports has always been a pretty important part of my life, and I have to echo Charlie Hood's comments that the coaches and their direction and guidance were very instrumental in my life. And I also would like to share this award with my family, who has always been very supportive. I think it would be remiss if I didn't talk about Lawson Earl, who I feel is one of the greatest individuals that ever coached athletics. He was very instrumental in many things, and his direction was very important in my life. And I have to echo what Charlie said to you athletes out here tonight, that your athletics is a very important part, and it forms a very good base for whatever happens in life. It teaches you to cope with the realities of life today. I'd just like to share with you one cherished memory that's been with me forever. Norristown has always been or had great sports fans. And in one of the greatest moments of my life is coming back from Philadelphia in the spring of 1948 after we had won the state championship game. And Norristown had about 40,000 people, and I think every one of them were in the streets that night with fire engines, lights, and it was just a memory that'll be with me forever. And I thank everybody, and it's an honor for me to have been a part of the Norristown sports program. Thank you very much.
Our final inductee of the evening is George A. Williams, Jr. of the class of 1950. George played football, baseball, track, and basketball. In fact, he was the last four-letter man to graduate. George started playing center on the football team, but was moved to fullback. He was the only athlete during the 1950s to have kicked and completed a drop-kick extra point. George also pitched for the baseball team. He entered the broad jump for the track team, placing third in state championships in that event. But it was the varsity basketball team that kept George busy. He was a member of the 1948 state championship team as a sophomore with Gene Coder, our last inductee. George was also selected to the all-state basketball team. After graduation, George went on to Morgan State College and a BS in physical education. Additional counselor training has no doubt aided him in his present job as Assistant Director of Training and Employment with the city of Alexandria, Virginia, where he now resides. George has two children, Daryl of Norristown and Lisa, a student at Howard University. Congratulations, George, on your selection to the Hall of Champions. Please come forward at this time. Presenting the award is James Randolph, one of George's teammates.
Congratulations, George. Before I make this presentation, I have one event that I would like to share with you, and that is I had the opportunity of seeing George Williams, watching George Williams participate as a team member, and also I had the privilege of seeing him play as a college player. And I guess a lot of people will question why I will mention this. But frequently, when you're in a situation where you compete with your fellow players, when the opportunity presents itself to get the opportunity to see them participate in a little more competitive level, by all means, you want to take every opportunity to do so. I was provided this opportunity at Shaw University when George Williams was participating at Morgan State College. Morgan in 1952 was participating at A&T's homecoming. Those of you who are familiar with the A&T Aggies during that time were supposed to be the powerhouse of the then CIAA conference. And a friend of mine during that same weekend had extended the invitation to me to attend his hometown. And knowing Southerners, as many of you might do, you just don't refuse the opportunity to go to a football game. Anyway, my comment to him was, I would like very much to see what they called in North Carolina during that time, a homeboy participate in the A&T Aggies Morgan State game. His comment was, I cannot understand why you would want to just see some run-of-the-mill football players play against North Carolina A&T's Aggies. He said it's going to be, a runaway, no contest whatsoever. So I'll make a long story short, I did all I could, and I finally convinced him that this team representing Morgan was just no run-of-the-mill group of ball players. So I talked him into going to this particular football game. Well, to make a long story short, George spearheaded probably one of the biggest upsets in college CIAA history by spearheading the Morgan State Bears against A&T College to a 16-14 win, okay? And the comment made by the guy that I talked into going to that game afterwards was, he said, well, one thing for sure, he said, the guy that you brought me to see wasn't any run-of-the-mill ball player, okay? So I'd like to take this time to say that the guy who's being presented this award tonight, George Williams, excelled in football. He was a player, he was a fullback for 2 years varsity. As a basketball player, he participated varsity 3 years, a member of Pennsylvania State Championship team in 1948. He was selected to the All-State team. In baseball, he was a pitcher, serving a 1-year varsity participation. In track, George Broadjump placed third in a state championship meet in his senior year. He received the Ray Musselman Memorial Award and the Chamber of Commerce Award, the Bill Stern Award as Outstanding Athlete in the Philadelphia area, and he was the last 4-letter man at Norristown High School. So the presentation I'm making tonight is by far, he's not just a run-of-the-mill ball player, okay? It's indeed an honor for me to make this presentation to my homeboy, George Williams. Congratulations.
I'm sort of like Hoodie, nervous, but sort of calm. I'd like to thank the committee, Roy, directors, friends, and associates. And like Gene, I'd like to thank many people, because for a lot of those people, George Williams Jr. wouldn't be standing here. And first of all, in my appreciation and thanks is to my dad. To my dad and my mother. My mother's not living, but my dad is sick today. He couldn't be here. But I want to thank my dad for doing what he did. He and mother got together, and George was the result. And the other two people that really gave me support in going through college and what have you was my two sisters that really helped me and give me full support, and also my uncle, who has since passed. He's Uncle Lindsay, but everybody thought Lindsay was my dad because he was, what shall I say, Lawson Earls and Coach Art Hur's third coach. He was the third coach and whatnot. But going on and repeating what Coder and Hoodie had said, gentlemen, sports can be a big step. You can make a lot of things out of sports if you just stick with it and believe in yourself, because there was a lot of teachers that really motivated me one way or the other, either with the foot or the word, but it was motivation. And in those days, they did motivate you, one way or the other. But I'm saying here today, you young students there, and I was just getting off a little bit, I was just looking at Lou Simpson there, looking at Lou, and then looking at Gene, and then looking at our state championship. Lou would have been the tallest thing on the team. Gene was our tallest, Milt Kaiser was next, then George, then Doc, and we were called the Timber Toppers. They gave us the name, the Timber Toppers. Now, my feeling and personal feeling tonight was that the Buzz Boys was really a fantastic team, but the Timber Toppers really put it all together. We put it together, we played together, and the end results was a state championship team. But I'd like to thank everyone tonight for being here, and the committee, and also congratulating the rest of the inductees, and thank everybody. It's really been a privilege. Thank you.
please rise and join us in the playing and the singing of the alma mater.
For to Norristown we're giving victories won on field and track. With the spirit never conquered, for NHS we fight, and we'll never call our being black and blue, for blue and white. When our 4-year course is ended, and we leave our school so dear, we'll make the world take notice of our challenge. Look who's here, for we've learned that white means pureness, and blue means worth and right, and our love shall be the witness of our love for blue and white.
Would you please be seated a moment? Before we adjourn to the cafeteria for refreshments and fellowship, and each one of you are invited, and we hope to see you there, I want to acknowledge certain individuals and groups for their contributions to this evening's ceremony. First, I want to recognize the high school Key Club under the direction of Mr. Monteleone as ushers, and the National Honor Society under the direction of Mrs. Hopkins for assisting with our reception to follow. I want to say thank you to Jane Burt, a talented Norristown Area High School student, for leading our singing, to Manuel Silas for the offstage announcing, and to Charles Horaho, leader and members of the 9th grade concert band, for their fine musical selections. Thank you, Charles. And finally, but certainly not least, to our wonderful producer of the induction ceremony and member of the Norristown Area High School faculty, Rosemary Zumo. Rosemary, I don't know where you are, probably up in the balcony. Please take a bow. At this time, I would like all the presenters and inductees to remain on stage for a few minutes for picture taking. And now we invite each of you to attend our reception for tonight's inductees in the cafeteria directly behind the stage. Please go through the door to my left. Thank you very much for coming.